How do you command respect as a leader, as a colleague, as a speaker? Even if you're a quiet person, even if you maybe aren't the most confident person, I'm going to share with you 3 different ways to do just that in this video. And this will apply in one-on-one conversations. This will apply to your team if you're just trying to influence and lead a small team. And this will even apply if you are speaking in front of large groups. So let's get into it. Step number 1, and this is the easiest way to command respect in any situation. It is to use power pauses. Use the power pause. Pauses are powerful. People don't understand and really grasp just how powerful pauses are. In fact, if I even say pauses are powerful, you might go, oh, that's a great tip. That's a good idea. But you won't feel it like you will when I do it like this and I say it to you this way. Pauses are powerful. Do you feel the difference? Isn't that amazing? Like, what an amazing way to command respect. What a simple way to command respect. What an easy thing that anybody can do. Like, all you have to do is nothing. Like, all you have to do is not talk. Instead of filling the space in your speaking, in a conversation, or in your presentations, or in your team meetings, instead of filling that space with filler words like or or like or we do this all the time. Fill that space with pauses. Use the power pause. In fact, try this in your next meeting in a group of people. Is as soon as that people turn their attention, or even if you don't have control of the meeting, if you kind of step up and say, hey, I got something I want to share. And then you pause. That pause is so powerful. It causes people to lean in on the edge of their seats, to almost stop having this conversation and go, wait, why is it so quiet? Like, what's going on? What's going on over here? I'm telling you, this is the fastest, easiest, simplest, most guaranteed way to command respect. And look, as a speaker, this is one of the most advanced techniques that I use, that we teach to our clients at Brand Builders Group to help them command the respect in front of thousands of people, is to simply walk out on stage and just use the pause, and use the pause as a transition. In addition to the pause, actually leads us to technique number 2, which is use deliberate, extended eye contact. What do I mean by that? I mean when you are in communication, so whether you're talking with somebody one-on-one, or if you are speaking to a small team of people maybe that you're leading, or if you're like me and you speak at events and there could be hundreds, there can be sometimes 10,000 people in a room, you make deliberate extended eye contact. In fact, I'm even doing that right now with you on the camera. And notice the difference, right? So notice the difference if when I am talking on the camera or to the camera, I am looking directly into the lens. See, watch what's going to happen here. I'm going to dart with my eyes for a second just over here. Now I'm looking at the center of the screen. And you'll notice the difference, right? Do you feel the difference between when I am talking at the screen, like what I'm looking at here is the center of my phone, versus here, I'm looking directly into the lens. I'm looking right at you. Do you see how that subtle change commands respect? It creates gravitas. It generates, it manufactures charisma. It's just the difference between this and this. Now that's on camera, but the same is true in a real life conversation, right? Like if someone's talking to you and they're kind of always doing this and they're just looking around, it creates the sense that they're not confident, just like it does on camera, right? Like if I'm afraid to look at you, it it just creates this aura that I'm not confident, and that's probably true. But it's amazing that a mechanical change just in focusing and saying, no, I'm going to concentrate on deliberate, extended eye contact, it causes me to appear more confident. It commands respect. And not only does it appear that I'm more confident, it actually makes you more confident. Like, there is something about fear where, you may have heard this old acronym. Fear is an acronym that says false evidence appearing real, right? And so when our eyes are sort of shifty and moving around, it's usually because we're like nervous about something. We're afraid that we might say something stupid, or they might find out about us, or something weird about us, or like, but when I look you directly in the eye, it forces me to confront that fear, that timidity that I have, and I'm looking directly into your eyes, and it allows me to connect with you as another person. And all of a sudden, at first, it feels a little bit awkward. But when you make deliberate extended eye contact, it creates more confidence. In fact, a lot of times, people will have to look away from you because they'll start to feel a little bit intimidated, or a little bit shy, or a little bit timid, because they're not used to the kind of intensity that comes from somebody looking them directly in the eye. And on this note, I want to add, don't just look people in the eye, look them directly in the pupil. Like, look, not even like the colored part of their eye, but look, if you're there in person, you want to look directly into their pupils. Just like if it's a camera, whether it's you're taking a picture or you're recording a video, you want to look straight into the camera lens, as close to the dead center of the camera lens as you possibly can, because that's going to create the most charismatic effect. But it's exactly that. It's an effect, right? It's the difference between this, which isn't bad, right? Here I'm talking to the camera. It's still great, like it's still effective, but it's not nearly as powerful and strong as this. And then, of course, the sort of shifty eye movement. Nothing says confidence like steady eye contact. Now, how does this apply in a big room, right? You go, okay, well, Rory, like, what if I'm a speaker or an aspiring speaker, or even if I just am leading a team or I'm doing a small presentation, and you say there's lots of people around the room? Well, then what do I do then? And that's a really good question. So there's two things that happen. So first of all, when you're in a large room, make individual contact. So if let's say you're leading your team and it's like an internal company meeting, look at each person and lock. Like if there's 10 or 12 people in a room, right, and you lock and you talk to them, like to that person, like I see you, you see me, right? And then I'm talking to you, and then to you. Now, if there's 10,000 people in the room, well, let's talk about 10,000. We'll say that for a second. Let's say there's like a couple hundred people in the room. If there's a couple hundred people in the room and they're all over the place, what you want to do is just pick one person in each section, right? So I'm going to look at somebody who's sitting up here right in the front, and I'll look at them. And then I'll take somebody in the back. But from you as the speaker, as the communicator, from your vantage point, you should be looking at a person, like one individual. But in a large room, here's the effect that it has. Everybody in that section, it feels to them like you're looking right at them, even though you're looking at one individual. So don't look at people, look at a person. Don't look at people, look at a person if you're doing a presentation in front of a large room. Now, if it's small enough where you can see everybody's eyes and they can see yours, just look directly at them and sort of like hold for a second and then go around. If it's a big room, just pick one person in each section and you look at them. Now, obviously, you're breaking eye contact with everyone else, but then when you look at someone in that section, that whole section, it feels like you're looking at them. Now, if you ever, here's an advanced tip. If you are ever speaking in front of 10,000 people, thousands and thousands, or arenas, which, I've actually I've only been in front of tens of thousands of people at one time in a couple scenarios over the course of my career, probably 10 times. Well, usually when that happens, if there's thousands of people, they have these big IMAG cameras, right? They have these cameras, or like think of like a church, right? The pastors, if you go to a big church, the pastors are often up on the screen because they have thousands of people there if it's like a big church. Well, in that case, this is a little bit tricky because if it's a huge room, the best way to make eye contact with the whole room is to not look at anybody in the room, but to again look at the camera. Look straight into the camera. Why? Because if the speaker is being projected on the screens, 99% of the people in that room aren't looking at the speaker, they're looking at the screen. So if you're looking off camera, it appears to 99% of the room that you're not looking at anybody. So the best way is to make that same deliberate extended eye contact, but do it directly to the camera, and everybody will feel like you're looking at them. But whether it's in front of one person or 100 or 1,000, deliberate extended eye contact. Part of this is it forces you to confront your own insecurity. It forces you to almost like stand up for yourself, to hold space, right? To like take ground and to be centered and to say like, I am here. Now you're not intimidating people. You're not trying to stare them down. It's not a UFC battle or something. Like a lot of times, if anything, I'm going to communicate with my eyes that I love you. I'm here for you. I'm here to support you, right? Not I'm after you, but like I'm here and you feel me because I'm not afraid to hold space and to take up space. And my eyes communicate that. And my eyes communicate that not only am I here, I'm here for you. I'm standing in service of you. It's amazing how much this one idea will help you command respect. All right, let's talk about the third technique. Third step here, super duper simple again. Don't overcomplicate this, okay? But here's the technique. What I want you to do is don't theorize, summarize. Don't theorize, summarize. Now, when we started this video, I said, I'm going to share with you 3 ways to command more respect, 3 techniques to command more respect, even if you're a quiet leader, or even if you're sort of a quiet introvert, or even if you're, a little timid about speaking or public situations or being around a large number of people. And so this one applies, right? And believe it or not, I'm actually a pretty extreme introvert. I gain energy from being alone, and I recharge when I'm alone. When I'm in crowds and around a lot of people, that's an expenditure of energy. That's not what recharges. That's me pouring energy out, which I enjoy, and I love doing that, but I actually recharge by being alone. So I am an introvert even myself. Now, people would assume, as a someone who's been a professional speaker, that I probably would not be an introvert, but it very much is the case. And a lot of Hall of Fame speakers and people with viral TED Talks and other people in the industry that I know, they actually are more introverted than you might think. So how does this last thing apply to you? Well, if you're not gregarious, if you don't talk a lot, okay, so let's say you're in a one-on-one conversation. One of the things you can do is ask a lot of questions. So whether it's if it's one-on-one, you ask a lot of questions. If it is a small group setting, like you're leading your team, at your church, your company, or your Boy Scout troop, or like whatever it is, like let the other people talk. And then what you do is you don't theorize, you summarize. So what you're doing is you are listening to the room, which is going to be easy for you because you already probably, if you're a quiet person, if you're a little more introverted, if you're not like the life of the party type, if you're not super gregarious and chatty, like if that's you, this should be good news, is you're going to listen, you're going to intake, and the way that most conversations happen is they are being created together, like they're co-created. It's almost like brainstorming. Most conversation is collaborative in terms of its brainstorming. Well, one of the ways that you can command respect is not take place as much in that theorizing part of the conversation, in that formation or creation of the ideas. You sit back, you allow yourself to just be there quietly, hold space, right? Be loving, but be powerful, make eye contact. And then what you do is you intake everything, and then you're going to summarize it and deliver it back to the other person or to a small group. It is incredible how much power, again, and how much respect comes to the person who didn't say every little idea that they were thinking. They didn't spout off every random thought that came to their head, but instead sat back, listened, digested all of the different ideas and thought process from around the room, kind of took in the information that was coming from that room, and then sort of consolidated it, concentrated it, packaged it, refined it, and then delivered it back and saying something like, well, it sounds like what everybody is saying is this. And you're a summarizer there. Like, you're not even a contributor, you're summarizing. But by being the one who is summarizing, people go, yeah, gosh, that's so eloquent, right? And all you're really doing is listening and taking time to think before you speak. And by the way, you might say, well, Rory, how does that apply to large crowds? Like, okay, if I'm one-on-one, I can ask questions and I can listen. And if I'm in a small group, people are chatting and I can just sort of, take it in. But how does that apply to a large group? Well, what I would actually suggest is that, if you are speaking in front of a large group, or if you're someone who creates content like myself and like several of our clients at Brand Builders Group, then that's your whole life. That's your whole job. Right? Like, that's pretty much my entire role. Like, if you listen to my podcast, for example, my wife and I host a podcast and we interview guests, and the expertise comes often from the guest. And then what we do afterwards is we summarize what they said. We sort of streamline it and distill it and then repackage it and represent it. As an author, that's pretty much what I consider writing a book to be, is I'm just out researching and gathering all these ideas and different, I'm sort of like a connoisseur of ideas. I'm a collector of fine ideas, of the best ideas. And then my job is to sort of bring them in, almost like a sieve, right? Is to filter out all the noise, keep the good stuff, and then kind of take what's remaining that's really concentrated and package it up and bring it back to the world in a way that has sort of my own stories and my own take on it, but it's sort of like this assimilation of everything around me. So you don't have to theorize, you can summarize. These three ideas, not just ideas, these three tactics, these three techniques, these three practices can change your charismatic effect on the people around you instantaneously. It's as simple as using the power pause, making extended eye contact, and not theorizing, but summarizing. I promise if you do this, no matter how introverted or quiet you are, you will command more respect.